Every time Stafford walks to the line, every time Matt Stafford walks to the line, he understands the why. Drake Maye is still trying to figure out, as I said last week, the what. What am I seeing? What is this? He didn't have the answers against Seattle. Stafford against Seattle tore him apart 3 times. Drake Maye overwhelmed. Chris Collinsworth appropriately said at halftime, Maye is not ready for this moment. Mike Vrabel at halftime seemed resigned to the fact his young quarterback was over his skis. He was nervous and he was rattled. And that's why I said, stop vomiting statistics and spewing analytics. Quarterback is about the why. Can you walk to the line like a Brady and a Manning and a Mahomes and a Stafford, and you have the answers to the test? I mean, I'm watching Stafford against this Seahawks defense, and he looks like Lewis Hamilton. Drake Maye yesterday looked like a student driver. He was completely overwhelmed. And New England's good. They're going to get better. It was almost understandable. But Stafford and Maye are just different quarterbacks and different human beings. Let's be honest. If Bo Nix was healthy, New England's probably not here. So, yes, Seattle had more talent. We did our top 10 rankings of the players last week. The top 4 players were all Seattle, including Darnold. But this was more than just, Stafford's got Puka Nacua. New England's tight ends and receivers are way above average. And yes, Will Campbell is not ready for this moment. He's probably going to get moved inside. He was the best tackle in a weak draft class. He's probably a really good guard.
Yeah, listen, I don't think we have to dunk on Drake Maye right now. This was not one of his best moments. We can absolutely credit the defense without a doubt. Okay, for the Seattle Seahawks, clears throat. I think this is what's interesting because I said that in order for the Seahawks to win, for the Patriots to win this game, we were going to need to see brilliant play out of Drake Maye. And a lot of it was going to have to be with his legs. That's what was my main key. I said Drake Maye was going to have to beat Jalen Hurts' Super Bowl rushing record in order for the Patriots to win this game. It's not about hitting Booty and Holland and whatnot. And that take ended up being, pretty accurate, honestly. And he did not do that. There was moments, and he got sacked. He got tackled for a loss. Like, he could not do it. And then there were certain throws to make, and he missed them. And then also combined with bad decisions, because we could say, oh, well, his shoulder this, his shoulder that, doesn't change the bad decision making. And this is reminiscent. Listen, I pointed out last year in the Super Bowl that because they talked about the O-line, and I compared that when the plays broke down, when the pressure got to Jalen and when the pressure got to Mahomes, it's just objectively true that Jalen Hurts made the plays. He made throws on the run, he escaped, ripped off 18, 19-yard runs and whatnot, whereas Patrick Mahomes threw interceptions, fumbled, etc. Doesn't mean that Patrick Mahomes is bad. It was that he could not rise to the occasion in that game. And that's just the reality. And it's not to say that Jalen Hurts is able to rise to the occasion in every game. It was just, in that game he did. And in this game right now with Drake Maye, he did not rise to the occasion. He did not make the throws. He did not make the plays. So it's not a matter of having the answers when you walk up to the line of scrimmage, because pretty much none of these quarterbacks in the modern era do. I got news for you. That's just not the way how football is played these days right now. It's just not. And that's why Kirk Cousins and Phillip Rivers, when you watch them, you see how they operate and you're like, oh, this is different than Bo Nick. Like, he brought up Bo Nix. Like, this is different. This is different than what Mahomes does, what Jalen does, what Josh Allen, what Lamar. Like, I'm like, this is different because it's a different style of football in that. And Matthew Stafford is one of those guys. He's one of the last remaining guys, and it is something that made Brady so special, and he had a whole conversation about why he thinks that, is important, but it's just like, it's different. So I'm not going to put that all on the shoulders of Drake Maye right now. What Drake Maye needed to do was to be able to make the throws and be able to use his legs, and he didn't. He was unable to. That's what it really got boiled down to. There was no moment I mean, when you look at that first half, not that. Sorry, I did not mean to do that. I'm not trolling there, I promise. Which one is it? No, this one. This one. At halftime, he was 6 for 1 for 52 yards. He was only sacked once. Yeah, he was getting pressured. Yeah, he was getting hit. He couldn't get any positive yards on the ground. He was negative 40. Like he could not escape. He could not get anything going positively. And listen, it was tough sledding, man. It was a true uphill battle. I don't put that all on the shoulders of Drake Maye. I really don't. But as someone who I've been preaching Drake Maye as being elite, as being special, as I believe that he is going to be consistently, and he's going to be one of the, how for years we've had Lamar, Mahomes, Allen, and Burrow. We've just automatically said, well, he's there. Well, we know that for. I firmly believe that Drake Maye will be part of that for, whatever the new, group ends up being. I firmly believe that, and no one's going to convince me otherwise. And this game is not going to convince me otherwise. It's just not. It's just not. I'm not going to be like, oh, see how we can't. Oh, did we too? Did we get too high on Drake Maye? Like, no, 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 no. But this was a moment to kind of solidify that even more and prove that. And that's why I highlighted Jalen Hurts in one of my videos, because it's like Jalen Hurts had his run game taken away. He was in the Super Bowl really young too, and only his second season as an actual starter, similar to that of Drake Maye. His run game got taken away in the Super Bowl, and Jalen Hurts said, okay, I'll break the rushing record. And he made throws, and it was against the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes on the other side of the ball. And Drake Maye clearly has the momentum. And it's actually kind of interesting because the parallels are actually pretty breathtaking, because Jalen Hurts was also, an MVP consideration, and a lot of people thought he was going to be the MVP until he got injured. He also had a shoulder injury issue and had to miss some games. He went into the playoffs like not 100% fully healthy, and he also didn't win the MVP, but he rose to the occasion in this Super Bowl. And right here, Drake Maye simply did not. And again, I don't put that all on Drake Maye's shoulders. I can't emphasize that enough. I do not put it all on his shoulders. But you'd be hard-pressed to watch that game and really find some moments when you could be like, well, that was brilliant, because people talked about, I think what he has got more turnovers than touchdowns now in this playoff run. And that's fine. I mean, you don't want that, obviously, but at least throughout the playoffs, you could point to plays that he made. You could look at the box score and be like, is this really a good box score against the Chargers or against the Texans or whatnot? And you could still point to plays that were made even against the Broncos, which was obviously an incredibly bizarre game. You're like, yeah, but like it was some of Drake Maye's games were perfect examples as to why quarterback can be a winning stat. A quarterback wins can be a quarterback stat, or also why you can't just look at the box score, why you can have a 50% completion percentage and, a turnover, but still be the reason why you won, et cetera, et cetera. Which to me, it's not all or nothing. It's very nuanced and it changes game to game, but Drake Maye gave you enough examples of like, okay, you don't win without that play. You don't win without that throw. You don't win without that run. Like, that was crucial. There was really no moments of that in this Super Bowl. There really wasn't. The closest you got to it was when the game was really kind of already over. When it was 19-0 fourth quarter, you made some throws, made some plays, but it's like, that's just different to me. That hits different. And then when there was a time when if they score, this game could be like a one-score game. It's like it's on now. And he threw a terrible interception where Collinsworth was just like, he stopped and he was just like, he didn't know what to say, because he was trying to figure out, was his arm hit? Was he expecting his receiver to do? And he was just like, I just don't know what he was doing. And he made a handful of throws throughout the course of that game where he was just like, where he almost got intercepted. And, I was watching it with family and I made the joke. I was like, oh, he threw that into a defensive meeting. And Collins, I was expecting Collinsworth to make that comment. And he was just like, he threw it to a lot of Seahawks fan. I forget exactly how he phrased it, but he was just kind of like, it's not the throw. Collinsworth does not really like to criticize quarterbacks. He does not. He does not. This game was reminiscent of when I was watching. And again, I'm going to be very careful how I phrase this, because I I think I've established myself as a true Drake Maye believer, and I do believe that Drake Maye should have been the MVP over Matthew Stafford. I'm a firm believer in that. You're not going to push me that. But like this game, the way how Collinsworth was calling it, specifically for Drake Maye, when talking about Drake Maye was almost similar to that of when he was calling the game for Justin Fields with the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Dallas Cowboys, when you could tell he was almost uncomfortable with the play and how he's like, he just didn't want to criticize Justin Fields. But he was like forced to, because he was just like, laughter, yeah, this is the National Football League. You got to be able to make that play. Like you got to be able to make that throw. And that's what Collinsworth was doing right now, was doing with Drake Maye, where he was just like, you had him. He's like, you can't get any more wide yet. You had him. He hits that throw. He's still running, you know, and then some of the bad throws, the bad decisions, which I can't blame his shoulder for, because a lot of them were just bad decisions, right? It was just a bad decision. And you're just like, or when the, you know, or just getting fooled by the pressure, and, you know, and that's why, you know, Collinsworth would even point out, like, this is something that Drake Maye just has to be able to see. He's got the vision of it, and he just didn't. And so it was just a bad game, you know. It was just not a good game for Drake Maye. There's really no way to slice. It was not a great game for Drake Maye, and it was an awesome game by the defense. Both things can be true. You can credit the defense, and you can put some blame on the quarterback, especially because there were concrete plays to be made. Patrick Mahomes last year, there really wasn't concrete plays to be made. The Eagles just took away everything. There wasn't really moments when you were just like, well, Patrick M just completely missed, or like, what the heck was he thinking? But you could say that here with Drake Maye. But I'm not moving on from Drake. Everyone is just using this to dunk on him now. Everyone's just being like, oh, see, he wasn't that good. Easiest path. He's overrated, not battle tested. I reject all of that. All of that. All of that. All of that. Drake Maye, to me, is still absolutely positively a bona fide top quarterback in the NFL. And I already classify him as elite. The future could not be any brighter for the New England Patriots. No question about it. No question about it. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the New England Patriots and Drake Maye? Was the moment too big for him? Let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get to some discussions. Let's get to some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.